leaders, whether we claim to be or not. In fact, John Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And every single one of us is being followed by someone. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a neighbor. Most of us, it's just our kids. But the point is that we're all influencers of some sort, that someone is following us. And when you know that and you possess that knowledge, it should change the way that we do things. It should change the way that we speak to our children. It should change the way that we treat our neighbors. It should change the way that we treat our spouses. It really should change everything about us, knowing that we influence. Part of Christian leadership is knowing that influence. Another part is knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. We should all use our strengths and manage our weaknesses. Success in ministry depends on that. And throughout my ministry years, or my years of ministry, I've tried to do just that. I've had to understand and utilize my spiritual disciplines. There are many spiritual disciplines. We really need to know those. Richard Foster actually gives us a list of those in his book, Celebration of Discipline. He lists 12 of those. They're grouped into 3 categories: the inward disciplines, the outward disciplines, and the corporate disciplines. Under the inward disciplines, we have meditation, prayer, fasting, and study. On the outward disciplines, we have simplicity, solitude, submission, and service. And under the corporate ones, we have confession, worship, guidance, and celebration. Some of my strengths in these areas are more on the outward and corporate sides. I've learned that throughout the years, which makes sense because the nature of my calling requires that I be up in front of people a lot. But I found that those that I weaken, those get weakened when I don't take time to focus on the ones that I'm not the strongest in. Those more personal ones, the more inward ones. I found that one of those that I have to focus on more than others is solitude. Solitude actually helps me recenter my focus and strengthens me. As Nouwen says, prayer and solitude are ways to listen to the voice that speaks to our heart. I so appreciated that. I love that insight in his book. And truthfully, I was really surprised about the books that we were required to read in this class. As I've said in several of my writings throughout this course, I was not excited necessarily about reading these. I'm really bad about judging a book by its cover, and I just was not. I wasn't expecting to get the information that I did receive as I read these books. His take on worship and knowing when to lead and when to be led were spot on for me, and really hit me between the eyes. Having an understanding of how worship is not always attached to music was another thing. That worship doesn't just happen in a church service. That worship is really how we honor God, and that really how I treat my wife is how I worship God. How I treat my daughters really is how I worship God. How I treat my neighbor or my coworkers or even a stranger really shows how I worship God. And all of those are a reflection of my heart, and making sure that that is in right alignment with God really defines my worship. In conclusion, part of Christian leadership is honing those spiritual disciplines. I watch a lot of DC and Marvel movies. Those are superhero movies and TV shows, and like most of those heroes, like with those heroes, There's something that weakens them. And even though they may have a lot of strength in a lot of things, there's always something that can bring them down, their weaknesses. For Superman, that would be kryptonite. For Green Lantern, it would be something like the color yellow. For Wonder Woman, it would actually be tying her bracelets together. That's what weakens her. What is it for you? What is your kryptonite? It is important that we seek that out and eliminate it, and make sure that our strengths are sharpened, and seek to get better at the things that we really stink at. Rely on God to help us in that. And it's in that reliance that we will find our greatest aspect of leadership, leaning on God. Thank you so much. God bless.